All right, let's jump right in and talk about one of the biggest rivalries in all of sports.
It's definitely up there.
India versus Pakistan. In cricket, of course.
So much more than just a game.
Way more. And that's why we're here today.
Exactly.
We've got some incredible sources to dig into.
Yeah, this will be good.
And, it's no secret that India has had the upper hand.
Especially in the World Cup.
Especially the World Cup, yeah. So we're going to really dissect that today.
Try to figure out why that is.
And go beyond those simple explanations, right? Like, oh, they're just better.
Right.
There's got to be more to it.
Way more.
So, I don't know what you want to start with. Those stats are kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you look at India's record against Pakistan in the ODI World Cup. 7 wins in a row.
Undefeated.
And, even in the T20 World Cups,
yeah,
it's heavily in India's favor.
Yeah, they've won most of those.
It's amazing.
It's like, are we just missing something? Like, how do...
Is it just luck?
Yeah, is it luck?
Or is there something deeper going on?
I remember watching the 2011 World Cup semifinal, I think it was.
Oh, yeah.
India versus Pakistan. And you could just feel the pressure.
Even through the TV?
Even through the TV, like 1 billion people watching and those guys on the field.
I can't even imagine.
It must be insane.
Yeah, and the sources all talk about that pressure.
Okay.
It goes way beyond sport.
Right.
It's national pride, it's history.
Oh, yeah.
The weight of expectations is immense.
But it seems like, from what I've read at least, Indian players kind of almost embrace that pressure.
Yeah, like they've learned to use it.
To their advantage.
As fuel, almost.
So how do they do that?
Well, one thing that comes up a lot is the IPO.
The Indian Premier League.
Yeah, it's like a pressure cooker.
Right.
Night after night, packed stadiums.
Huge.
They have to perform under intense scrutiny.
Oh, yeah. Those guys are constantly under the microscope.
Exactly. So they're kind of used to it by the time they hit the World Cup stage.
So basically, they're training for pressure.
Yeah, you could say that. It's like a boot camp for high-stakes cricket.
And what about Pakistan?
The sources suggest that Pakistani players haven't had that same consistent exposure
to high-pressure situations.
Yeah, their domestic cricket structure is different.
Okay.
And while they have incredibly talented players...
They always do.
They haven't necessarily had the same level of, I guess you could say, mental conditioning.
And does that actually play out? Like, do we see that on the field?
Oh, absolutely. You see it in key moments.
Okay.
Like, you think about Virat Kohli.
Masterclass.
Incredible focus, even under immense pressure. Or MS Dhoni, ice in his veins.
Tact and tool.
They don't just handle pressure. They seem to thrive on it.
I feel like on the other side, you see Pakistan, they'll have a good game plan.
Yeah.
And then, like, something happens at the end.
You falter.
It's like they get in their own heads a little bit.
Yeah. There's that match in the 2022 T20 World Cup. They needed like 16 runs off the last over.
I remember that one.
So close, and they just couldn't pull it off. That's got to be tough mentally.
To come that close and just...
So close.
Makes you wonder if there's something psychological going on there.
Almost like a block.
Like they get in their own way.
Yeah, we'll have to unpack that a bit more.
Definitely. And it's not just about individual players, right?
No, not at all.
We got to talk about the teams as a whole.
Team structure, consistency.
That's huge.
You can have all the talent in the world, but
if you're not a team,
if you can't work together,
you're not going to get anywhere.
Exactly.
And India, they've been really good at that, haven't they?
Really good. They've had a stable core of players for years.
Yeah, you think about guys like
Rohit Sharma,
Virat Kohli,
Jasprit Bumrah.
Yeah, they've played together so much.
They know each other's game inside and out.
It's got to make a difference on the field.
Oh, absolutely. And their bowling attack.
Yeah.
Especially in those death overs. Bumrah with those Yorkers.
So good.
And then the new spinners coming up. It's a well-oiled machine.
And Pakistan, I feel like they've struggled a bit more with that, haven't they?
Yeah. There's been more chopping and changing.
Like they haven't quite found that.
That core, that consistency.
That solid foundation.
And they've brought in a lot of younger players.
Who maybe aren't quite ready for that level.
World Cup pressure can be a lot to handle.
I mean, you look at someone like Babar Azam.
World-class player.
Amazing batsman.
But even he needs a strong team around him.
Right. It's not a one-man show.
Exactly. It takes a system, a culture of support to really nurture talent.
So it's more than just having the skills.
Much more. It's about having the right environment to allow that talent to flourish.
And thrive under pressure.
Especially under pressure.
Which is what this rivalry is all about.
Absolutely.
So we've talked about skill and talent and team dynamics, but I feel like there's another layer to this that we need to get into.
Yeah, there's a whole mental aspect to this rivalry.
Right, like you mentioned that block before.
Right, the idea that Maybe all those past losses are creating some kind of a mental barrier for Pakistan.
Like it's not just about what's happening on the field that day.
Exactly. It's about history, the weight of all those previous encounters.
I mean, decades of losing to the same opponent, especially in those big World Cup matches.
That's got to take a toll.
You start to think, maybe we're just not meant to win this.
And that doubt can be a powerful force.
Yeah, you almost psych yourself out before you even start.
It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
And on the flip side, India, they come in with all that confidence.
The aura of invincibility.
Like they just expect to win.
And that belief, it translates into a more aggressive, fearless approach on the field.
There's a huge difference.
Even if Pakistani players try to ignore that history.
It's hard to completely block it out.
It's there in the back of their minds.
It's like the pressure is doubled.
Because you're not just playing the current match.
You're trying to break this cycle that's been going on for generations.
And that pressure, it affects everyone, not just the players.
The fans too, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the passion, the hype surrounding these matches is insane.
The whole country is watching.
It creates this incredibly intense environment.
And we see that reflected in the sources we're looking at.
Yeah, you have fans on both sides weighing in on this whole mental block idea.
I remember reading one comment from a Pakistani fan.
Yeah.
They were saying that they feel like their team overthinks these matches.
Gets bogged down by expectations.
Yeah. And then you have Indian fans saying that their team just has that mental edge.
That unshakable belief in themselves.
Which makes them play more freely.
And ultimately more effectively.
But at the end of the day, cricket is a game.
With rules and skills and strategies.
And a bit of luck, too.
Of course, there's always an element of chance.
You never know what might happen on any given day.
One amazing performance, one moment of brilliance.
Could change everything.
Could turn the tide.
Which brings us to the big question.
Can Pakistan break this cycle?
Is it possible for them to finally overcome India?
Or is history destined to repeat itself?
And what do the sources say about that?
Well, there's some hope, actually.
Right.
One source points to Babar Azam's leadership.
He's a fantastic batsman.
World class.
But it sounds like he brings more than just runs to the table.
Right. He's known for his calmness under pressure.
Yeah, he seems very level-headed.
And he's a smart tactician.
So maybe he can lead Pakistan in a new direction.
It's possible. He represents a new generation of players.
Maybe one that's less burdened by the past.
But the sources also make it clear that it's not just about one player. It's about changing the entire mindset.
So like a cultural shift.
Yeah, maybe taking some inspiration from India.
Learning how to build that mental resilience.
Finding ways to handle the pressure.
And maybe even embracing it.
Turning it into a source of strength.
And building a team that's consistent.
Where players have time to develop together.
It's a long-term process.
It's about building a system.
A culture of excellence. Where players feel supported.
Empowered to take risks.
To play without fear.
Sounds like a tall order.
It is, but it's not impossible.
Maybe the next time these two teams meet, we'll see a different outcome.
A shift in the balance of power.
And wouldn't that be exciting?
The beauty of this rivalry is that we never really know what to expect.
It keeps us guessing.
And on the edge of our seats.
Because it's about so much more than just a game.
It's about history, national pride, and the human drama of trying to overcome seemingly impossible odds.
I mean, it's a story that just grabs you,
It really does.
Even if you're not a diehard cricket fan.
Anyone who loves sports.
You can't help but get caught up in the excitement.
It's like Ali versus Frazier.
Or Lakers Celtics back in the day.
Exactly.
These epic clashes that transcend the game itself.
They become part of the culture.
Part of history.
And I think that's what makes the India-Pakistan rivalry so fascinating, right?
Yeah, and the fact that it's been so one-sided.
For so long.
It just adds to the intrigue. Makes you wonder when or if things will ever change.
Yeah. Is this going to be like this forever?
Who knows?
But that possibility, that potential for a shift.
It keeps things interesting.
It keeps coming back.
For sure.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today.
Yeah, we've gone deep.
We've looked at the numbers, the psychology, the team structures.
Try to understand what makes this rivalry tick.
And what makes India so dominant.
And what challenges Pakistan faces.
So as we wrap things up, I'm curious.
Yeah.
What stuck with you the most from all of this?
What really resonated with you?
Was it the pressure?
The mental game?
The way these teams are built?
Or something else entirely?
Because I think there are so many different ways to look at this rivalry.
And so many lessons to be learned.
Even beyond the cricket field.
Absolutely. It's about teamwork.
Resilience.
The power of belief.
And the importance of building a strong foundation.
Both on and off the field.
And maybe just maybe, that's what Pakistan needs to focus on moving forward.
Finding that winning formula.
Creating a system that can consistently challenge India.
Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah, it would definitely change the whole story.
A new chapter in this epic rivalry.
Well, that's all the time we have for today, but I hope this has given you a lot to think about.
Yeah, keep those conversations going.
Keep exploring this incredible rivalry.
Because it's a story that's far from over.
And who knows what the future holds.
Only time will tell.
But one thing's for sure, it's going to be fascinating to watch.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
See you next time.